Brilliant. So thanks very much for coming. This is the LinkedIn Essentials course class. So if there's some stuff here that you already know, maybe some bits that you don't know, feel free to kind of ask questions as we go through. I'm presenting on one screen and I hopefully should be able to see any hands being raised on the other screen. But if I haven't spotted that you've got your hand up, feel free just to shout out, or I can come back to you at the end. So starting off with the question is why should you be using LinkedIn? LinkedIn as a network is really great for your personal presentation in the sector. You're presenting yourself as a professional with a clear overview of your sector, connections, and influence. It pictures you as a professional, someone with thoughts that are worth listening to. And it's a great way to actually share your achievements in a way that isn't going to come across as braggy. I think that's a major concern lots of people have, is that, if you've got all these amazing skills and qualifications, the only chance you really get to talk about them is when you're interviewing for a job. But that doesn't need to be the case. You can put them on LinkedIn. It's the perfect place for them to be, and it isn't braggy. It's just the truth. I've had a couple of questions from people basically saying, why does the council care if we're on LinkedIn? We don't care if you're on Twitter or Facebook. So why this social media? And it is beneficial for the council and for individuals. If we have an active LinkedIn community of staff, we've got another way of conveying messages. So whether that's from CLT, SLT, from new starters who are just sharing their thoughts about the company, it's another way that we can all get talking to each other. It leads to a bit of higher staff engagement. You can access training through LinkedIn. You can learn from other councils. You can share thoughts from your network into my network, into someone else's network. So there's so many ways that you can just really make a difference in the company just by using LinkedIn. It's really helpful for recruitment, and it makes us an employer of choice. If someone's looking for a job, most of the time they're going to go straight to LinkedIn and look up the company. And if we've got a regular LinkedIn presence, we've got colleagues who are talking to each other, all of these things aid with our recruitment. So although it's obviously optional, it's incredibly worthwhile, and there are benefits on both sides. On LinkedIn, visibility is key. There's quite a few people who will keep their profiles private, which is obviously it is a personal choice. But there are hundreds of different privacy settings and different ways to be found or not. At a minimum, we would advise having a clear photo of yourself, your job title, and where you work. And here's a list of just some of the privacy settings that you can access. So you can really have, you could just show your name and your place of work, or you can have it completely open so that everyone can see. It's completely down to your kind of personal comfort zone. And also where you are as well. If you're actively job hunting or actively recruiting, you might want to make your profile a bit more visible just during that period. And then, when you're not kind of actively using the platform, you might want to close it off a little bit more. So feel free to keep tweaking it. Making sure that your profile looks good. So as I sort of mentioned earlier, use a professional looking headshot, head and shoulders photo of you, professional clothing, neutral background. LinkedIn obviously not the place for kind of holiday snaps or anything that's not clear. And at the top of your LinkedIn account, you've got a very thin banner, kind of like your Facebook banner, or you can have it on Twitter. If you're techie and you want to get it exactly the right size, the pixel dimensions are here, and I'll put this presentation on Staff Home later. Or so that's if you want to get it exactly the right size, or you can just choose an attractive landscape photo, something that says a little bit about you, a little bit about your job, something like that. My LinkedIn banner photo at the moment is of the Magna Carta Memorial. I don't particularly care about it, but it's a link to Runnymede for me. If you wanted to download something, you can get loads of free ones off Canva, which if you've not used, it's a free graphic design site. We have a premium account which you're able to use at the council. So if you want to use the premium account, come and speak to me. If you want to just use your own personal Canva account, you can download all of these LinkedIn banner photos, and it just elevates your profile that little bit more. Yeah, as you can see here, Pete's banner photo is of the jurors in Runnymede Field. So again, for him, that was just a link to Runnymede. You also have a headline, so that's the section underneath where it says Peter Lariche. It says public, stakeholder, media, internal, etc. So the headline is the first thing that people will see when they're looking at your profile. So it's a really good thing that will just help them to understand who you are and what you do, particularly if your job title is a little bit unclear. So, Pete's job title, communications and PR manager, he's really broken that down and explained what he does there. Your summary can be a longer form of your headline, but keep it really snappy. Try and describe yourself out loud in fewer than 10 seconds. So, for example, mine would be communications officer, handling incoming and outgoing communications, social media, and particularly focusing on internal comms. It doesn't really need to be that much longer. You can really start pushing your value. If you've got any professional qualifications, anything like that, you can stick them in there, but just keep it short because people won't read for pages. And a really quick way of just making sure that your profile looks snappy straight away is you can actually change your URL, which a lot of people don't know. In a previous job, I had to handle thousands and thousands of LinkedIn accounts every day. And it really stands out that people who have changed their URL. You can do this by going onto your public profile settings, edit URL, and you can see here highlighted, my URL is Maddie-Lukes. A generic URL will probably be Maddie-Lukes 5129GB12. It's just a really simple way of just making your profile look a little bit more polished. And if you're ever in a situation where you've got it on a business card or on your email signature, anything like that, it makes it a bit snappier, a bit tidier. So once you've got your account set up, you're ready to make some connections. LinkedIn connections are not just your friends. So that's a pitfall that some people do fall into, is they might be a bit reluctant to make connections with people that they don't know in person. It is actually okay to make connections with people that you don't know in person. They can be people you know of, or they can be people that you hold in very high esteem. So, if you wanted to follow a business leader, someone that isn't likely to follow you back, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, someone like that. If those are your people you want to follow, you're welcome to do that. You can send them a connection request. Some people will accept, some people won't. My view of it is there's no harm in sending the connection if you want to. When you're connected, it means that their content will show up on your home feed and your content will show up on their home feed. So it's a really good way to gain some visibility, particularly if you're looking to kind of make moves in your sector. You can include your career history on LinkedIn, but this is one where you just need to be a little bit judgy about what you actually include. One of my friends, unfortunately, and I've spoken to her about this, so I'm not going behind her back. She's chucked on about 40 experiences from her work onto her LinkedIn account, ranging from 2 weeks working at this, 3 weeks working at that. It's not necessary at all. Only include the jobs that you think are relevant to where you want your career to go, and just have a couple of really concise, good bullet points for each job, which sum up what the job was. If you've had, maybe a gap year and you worked a whole bunch of kind of one-off jobs or something like that, there's no need to list them all out. You can just say casual work between, 2011 and 2012, whatever it is. Along with your career history, you also have your skills. LinkedIn wants you to use the platform as much as possible, and LinkedIn will encourage you to add up to 50 skills, because the more skills you have, the more jobs it can show you, and it will tell you that you're a top candidate for those jobs, which is no bad thing. But realistically, people who have 50 skills, some of those skills are going to be a little bit meh. For example, you can say that you're highly skilled at Microsoft Word. It's sort of a given, really, that people know how to use certain platforms if they're applying for that kind of job. So there's really no value in adding something like that. Pick the skills that you use every single day and are absolutely core to what you do, and pick the skills that you want to focus on as you move through your career. The optimum is between 5 and 15. I've got 12. I could probably narrow that down a little bit, but I haven't. And keep it up to date as well. If you're not using that skill, or if you don't want to really have it in your career, then can it? There's no point in having it on there. You can also get recommendations, and this is a really, really good tool to use, and it's one that people just frequently underutilize. Recommendations are brilliant when you're looking for candidates on LinkedIn because you can actually see what other people think that they're good at. It's very tempting to ask your friends and your siblings to recommend you for stuff. You can kind of tell when people have done that. So be bold with it, be really brave. Choose what you'd like to be recommended for. Send it to your old boss, your old colleagues, your current colleagues. Send it to someone whose opinion will carry weight. Send it out and hope you get some great feedback. People might not, they might just click off the notification. They might not read it. They might not engage with it. Doesn't mean that they hate you. It just means that they weren't looking at it. But if someone does do it, just make sure you repay the favor by giving them some actually a really good recommendation for something that you know that they're good at. I appreciate I'm racing through this quite quickly. Has anyone got any questions at all? I'll take that as a no. Cool. So staying active on LinkedIn, it's not just for finding employment. So I have spoken about when you're either hiring or looking for a job yourself, but it's a networking site. Use it like you use your other social medias. To get the most out of it, you need to remain active. Look at what other people are posting. If it's interesting, comment, engage with them, start a conversation. There's kind of nothing to be lost from it. Share posts that strike you as helpful. And the more you use your LinkedIn profile, the more people will keep seeing you. You'll keep resurfacing to the top of their awareness, and they will look at you and think of you as someone who's very sort of knowledgeable and engaged with your work. So even if you think, oh, this is a bit cringe, I'm sharing stuff that, I'm not that interested in, or, surely my opinion can't be that valued. Well, it kind of is. So just, keep at it, and people will eventually start to see you as a sort of key person in the sector. And then one that everyone freaks out about, what should I post about? It's a minefield. Whatever professional topic that you're interested in, keep it related to your field, because LinkedIn will know basically if you're talking about something that you have no reason to be talking about. So, I'm a communications professional. Everything on my LinkedIn is geared towards comms. If I suddenly started talking about grounds maintenance, LinkedIn would not think that my posts were reputable. They would think that something fishy was going on, and you'll be penalized by the algorithm, which is something that I go into on the next session. So just keep it related to your field. Make sure you're contributing something new to the conversation, not just reposting. And even if you're a junior member of staff, your views are your views. They are equally valid and interesting, as a world leader in your field. So get it out there. So these are a list of safe topics. If you did want to post on LinkedIn, which we encourage, but obviously everyone's different, you can write about something that you've learned at work, something about your work week, whether you've had a good week, bad week, trains are down, whatever it is. Like, you can just start the conversation with something like that. Share advice about something that you're good at. If you've learned something, if you did a training session, we had a really good training session in the comms team the other week, which I've been meaning to write something on LinkedIn about. So that would be good to share with my network. If you're going to any conferences or any training off-site, someone else might see that and go, oh, I'm actually there as well. And then that's another connection that you can make in person. A really good one that always goes down well, just congratulate your colleagues on good work. If someone's done something really cool recently, give them a shout out on LinkedIn. My manager Pete's really good at doing that. He will occasionally, just write a little post on the way home on a Friday. I get a notification on my phone, and it's nice to see that, our work as a team has been appreciated. So that's always a good one. And then share something that you're proud of, recent work, qualifications, achievements, something like that. If you don't want to kind of come up with something from scratch, you can always reshare. What else is safe? You can reshare our content. that's always a winner. I'd be delighted if anyone did that. Reshare something that's up on the council page, or reshare your local council if they've done something that's relevant to you. Share it with your thoughts, or you can reshare posts from colleagues, significant people in your sector, etc. And the golden rule is, if in doubt, leave it out. If you think that you're going to cause a massive storm of comments and hatred, and you're going to go viral, and everyone's going to come piling through your front door and shouting at you, don't post it. So yeah. When you're writing your post, kind of one of the key things is to avoid posting text only. So if you include a photo, a video, an infographic, something like that, it will make your post pop on the homepage. Most people will be scrolling on their phones, and we call it stop the scroll. It's got to be something that's sufficiently kind of interesting and grabby that if someone's just, thumbing down their homepage, there's going to be something that makes them go, oh, that's actually really interesting. So a good little bit of sort of imagery is key. You can take photos on your phone. They don't have to be perfect. You can download them from somewhere like Unsplash. You could, if you've got access to Canva or, like Adobe Photos or something, you can have really professional photos if that's your thing. And you can also publish a PDF document, which is a really, really great way of telling a story. Stephen Bowen did one recently that, well, a while back now, but he's done it quite a few times, which are brilliant. He's made PDF documents into a slideshow, and then when he's posting and recruiting for jobs, he has these really attractive, really grabby adverts that you can click through. We wouldn't recommend routinely posting a whole committee paper or report or something as a PDF, because it does come up really, really small. So in Stephen's advert here, he would have made the font like size 72 or something so that you can see it properly. So yeah, don't just upload a document, but you can use PDF to make some really eye-catching stuff. The writing style on LinkedIn, obviously everyone has their own, and you'll pick up from looking at your connections and your network. But in general, LinkedIn users tend not to use emojis and slang. It's a bit more of a formal way of speaking than, LinkedIn or Twitter. Write to your audience, have an authentic tone of voice that suits you, keep it professional, remember to give it a proofread. And if you want to tag anyone in, that's a really good way of boosting the reach of your post. If your goal is to have as many people see it as possible, or if you just want to let someone know that you're talking about them, which is always good, you can just type @ before their name, similarly to how you would on other social medias. I kind of mentioned if you want as many people to see it as possible. I appreciate that's not the goal of a lot of individuals using LinkedIn, but if you've bothered to write something, you might as well make sure that people see it. Otherwise, a lot of the stuff can just kind of get put to the bottom of the pile. So if you've made the effort to write something, schedule it for a peak time. You can do weekdays is a really good time for LinkedIn, particularly Tuesdays and Wednesdays around midday. Kind of any time when you think you might be scrolling, the odds are someone else might be scrolling. So for example, I never use it at the weekend, so I would never kind of bother to post at the weekend. You will show higher through the algorithm and on the homepage if you tag in one person who's likely to respond. So for example, if I tagged in Johnny Depp for whatever reason, he's not going to respond to my post, and LinkedIn will penalize me for that essentially. But if I wanted to tag in Pete, I know that Pete would likely either like the post or comment on it, and that will reward me through the algorithm, and that will make the post show higher, more people will see it. You can also include 3 sort of specific hashtags. For example, a good one for talking about local council is councils can. Something like that. There are different hashtags for different sectors. Tags are a way of searching for content by theme. So if you think of a keyword that you might search for example, planning or housing, that might be a hashtag. Not all things. I mean, hashtag housing is very, very broad, but hashtag social housing or housing Surrey, something like that might narrow it down. You can find a lot of really useful hashtags in groups, which I touch on in the next webinar. And you can find them by following other people and seeing what hashtags they're regularly using. And the more people who use a hashtag, the easier it is for your post to be found, for people to kind of see it, see you, see your thoughts, and for you to see what they're talking about as well. So it basically just makes your LinkedIn account a bit more specific and drowns out some of the collateral noise. Some examples, when I'm doing the council posts, I'll always hashtag Runnymede. I can hashtag local government, councils can hashtag council. There are so many and they are so specific sometimes. So just go out there and have a look. LinkedIn, brilliant for hiring. If you are connecting with other professionals in your sector, you can massively increase the reach of your job adverts. And obviously, as we all know, the more people who apply, the more likely are that you're going to get some really high quality applicants. So the council will occasionally post jobs on LinkedIn. So if it's one of your jobs or it's a job in your team, make sure you reshare it. And that enables all of your contacts to see the post. You can also post them on your own account. If you're the hiring manager, feel free to put a post on LinkedIn saying, I'm hiring for this job, please apply. If any of your connections interact with the post, it will show up on their newsfeed as well, and all of their connections will be able to see it. So the benefits are huge. If I've got 500 connections and one person from my 500 connections has got 1,000 and they comment, suddenly there's 1,500 people looking at this post, potentially 1,500. So I mean, it's definitely worth doing. And you could also DM people. You could send a direct message with a link to the job and say, I think you should apply for this. If there's someone that you know of who's looking for a job, there's no harm in directly messaging them. Looking for work. LinkedIn is brilliant for looking for jobs. Obviously, the goal is that everyone stays at Runnymede forever and is happy and never leaves, but that would be naive. So obviously, if someone is looking to leave, this is a brilliant tool to make sure that your move is as good as possible as it can be. Make sure you're using the right keywords on your profile. Potential employers and recruiters will be searching for very specific things. So make sure you know what those keywords are and make sure that they're in your skills. Looking through the LinkedIn jobs board is a really good way of doing this because LinkedIn will tell you which of your skills match the job. And as I kind of touched on earlier, a lot of people will post jobs and say, must be highly skilled in MS Office, Word, whatever. Those skills you don't really need to add on. But if you see a job posting, you think, God, that's really, really good. It says that you're matched for 2 out of 5 skills, and you notice that some of the skills you're not matched for, you actually are highly skilled in, just nip back and add them to your profile, because that's the kind of thing that recruiters will be looking for, and you want to make sure that you're standing out. So that wraps it up with 5 minutes to go. Are there any questions? Emma.
Hi, yes. I noticed under skills, there was a button that said demonstrate skills, and I was just a little bit curious about how that works.
Yeah, so with certain skills that can be kind of quantified, LinkedIn will offer basically like a quiz. And if you score highly enough in the quiz, you get a badge on your profile that says Emma is more skilled than 80% of people on LinkedIn at this specific thing, which is really, really good to do. And not all skills offer it. So if you can see it, if it's available on your skill and you think that you can do well in the test, and I think you can retake every 3 months if you don't hit the criteria. Yeah, that's a really cool thing to do because not many people will have those badges, and it's another way to stand out.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. That's been really useful, the whole thing. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone. If you do have any more questions, obviously just drop me a line. I'm doing another one of these next week, which goes more into detail about kind of the algorithm. I think I do a bit more on recruitment. So it's more of a deep dive thing. So if you are new to LinkedIn and some of this was kind of a lot, then maybe spend this week kind of prepping your LinkedIn profile, making any changes you want to make, and then come back next week and do the kind of further advanced class. And I'll pop these slides up now onto Staff Home as a news story. So if anyone wants to take another look at the slides, that's where they'll be. Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great afternoon and hopefully see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.